Today we will discuss about the important life process which helps to perpetuate the own race. So they have so many life process. So what are those life process? What are called life process? The process which helps the organism to sustain themselves, or we can able to say that the process which helps the organism for the growth and development, So the process which helps the organism for their growth and development, or we can say to sustain themselves on earth, called as life process. So we have so many life process, starting from the nervous system, respiration, transportation, reproduction, digestion, excretion. So although we have a number of life process, most of them are helpful for the growth and development. The only life process which helps to continue its own race, it helps to perpetuate their population, is nothing but reproduction. So today our topic is reproduction. What is called reproduction and types of reproduction we'll discuss. First we'll discuss some topics about the reproduction. First, before going to the topics, we have to know what is called reproduction. In the name itself we have reproduction. Re means once again, production, producing. So once again they are producing their own species. So plants are producing the plants, animals are producing the animals, human beings are producing their own species. So production is nothing but producing their own young ones, belongs to same species. It is called as reproduction. So reproduction can be written as the only life process which helps to sustain their own species. So these are which helps to sustain their own species, reproduction, or you can write to perpetuate their own race, or you can write as to continue their own race. So reproduction can be defined which helps to sustain their own species, or to perpetuate their own race, or to continue their own race from one generation to the another generation. And if you observe this reproduction, if you come to the how the organisms reproduce and how they are moving their generation to generation, around us we can able to see most of the living organisms which are present on land. They are called as terrestrial organisms, they are called as terrestrial, and which lives in water, they are aquatic, and which lives on land and as well as in water, called as amphibians. So here these are all comes under the multicellular organisms, and these organisms they have their own adaptations to reproduce. Take an example of terrestrial organisms like us, which are living on land. They give birth to younger ones directly. So they give birth to younger ones directly. These are also called as viviparous. And some which are present in water, or which are present in water as well as on land, they give birth by laying eggs. They lay eggs They reproduce by laying eggs. They are called as oviparous. So, in two ways, they reproduce by giving birth to younger ones directly, or they lay eggs called as oviparous. And here, if you come to the unicellular organisms, as these unicellular organisms are made up of a single cell, and they will multiply their species in different ways. And what is reproduction we discussed, and how the living organisms giving birth to younger ones called as viviparous, and they are laying eggs called as oviparous. And now when you come to the on land, on water, as well as on land in water, how the fertilization takes place. What is called fertilization? What is called fertilization? Whenever the male gametes come in contact with the female gamete, so you can write as fission of male gamete with the female gamete. Fission of male gamete with the female gamete is called fertilization. So once again, fertilization of two types: external fertilization, internal fertilization. External fertilization means the fission of gametes takes place outside the body of the female. So outside the body of the female, in the environment, we can write it is called as external fertilization. Internal fertilization, if the fission of gametes takes place inside the body of the female, inside the body of female, called internal fertilization. So examples of external fertilization: fishes, frogs come under the external fertilization. Internal fertilization, take an example of viviparous organisms like cows, buffaloes, human beings, etc., which are mostly terrestrial organisms. Mammals we call as, which give birth to younger ones and feed them with the milk, they are called as mammals. Okay, now, so fertilization we discussed. What is called fertilization means fission of the male gamete with the female gamete is called as fertilization. Two types of fertilization: external fertilization and internal fertilization. External means, you know that one, external means outside. If the fertilization takes place, or if the fission of the gametes takes place outside the body of the female, it's called as external. If the fertilization takes place inside the body of the female, called as internal fertilization. In human beings, internal fertilization takes place. Now, how the fertilization takes place in different organisms and how the reproduction takes place. Take an example of bacteria. Bacteria you take. How these bacteria reproduce? So bacteria reproduces, for example, you take in your house, in the preparation of curd, first you have taken 1 bowl of milk and we heated. So 1 bowl of milk heated and cooled to the room temperature. Then take previous day curd, a tablespoon of previous day curd, and add into the milk, which is cooled to the room temperature. After 5 to 6 hours, if you observe, the milk turns into semi-solid substance called, the milk has turned into semi-solid substance called as curd. Here what happened means, here the bacteria which is present in the previous decade called as lactic acid bacteria or lactobacillus. Lactic acid also called as lactobacillus multiply its number. It multiplies its number by the fission. Either it may be a multiple fission or it may be a binary fission. It multiplied its number and they changed the milk into a semi-solid substance called as curd. The best example how the microorganisms increase their population. One best example, daily utilizing the curd, how the curd is prepared. And the curd, what happens, what is the mechanism present inside the curd? Whenever we add the previous day curd into the present day milk, and this curd consists of lactobacillus bacteria. When you add this lactobacillus bacteria into present day milk, this bacteria multiplies in number and change the present day milk into curd. Now, curd is nothing but bacteria only, but it is very useful to us. And now when you come to the reproduction, the organisms which are participating in reproduction, unisexual organisms, bisexual organisms, two types, unisexual and bisexual. What are called unisexual organisms means the organisms which have separate sex organs, which have separate sex organs. Either may be a male or female, either male or female. They are called as unisexual. Single sex organs are present. Either it may be a male or it may be a female. Bisexual, which have both sexes, which have both sexual organs. If both male and female are present in the same organism, they are called as bisexual organisms. And these organisms are also called as hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodite. What is it called hermaphrodite means? The organism which have both the sexes in the same animal. If the organism have both sexes, male sex organs and female sex organs are present in the same organism, it is called as hermaphrodite. Example, best example, if you take earthworm is a hermaphrodite, flatworm, roundworms. So these are hermaphrodites. They have both the sex organs in the same organisms. Okay, unisexual, bisexual. Bisexual also called as hermaphrodite. Now we'll go for the next topic. Reproduction and types of reproduction. Types of reproduction. So reproduction is of two types: sexual reproduction, asexual reproduction, or asexual reproduction also you can pronounce. Asexual reproduction or asexual reproduction or sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction here takes place between the two organisms, male, female. Male, female. Sexual reproduction takes place between the male and the female. Here, if you come to this asexual reproduction, only one organism will participate in the reproduction. In the sexual reproduction, two organisms has to be participated, male and female. In asexual reproduction, only one organism will participate. Here the gametes are produced. Here gametes are not produced. And here in the sexual reproduction, variations will be, variations means the slight changes within the species. Variations, very important question. What are variations? Variations means slight changes, within the species, within the same species. The slight changes within the same species is called as variation. Here the variations, the changes means the variations will be more in the sexual reproduction. The variations will be very less in the asexual reproduction. For example, a neem plant give birth to neem plant, same neem plant only, same look like. And here in the sexual reproduction, their physical changes differ. Physically they will differ in height, weight, color, size of the eye, size of the ears, maybe different will be. And in the asexual reproduction, what are those asexual reproduction takes place in plants, in animals. Asexual reproduction, different types of asexual reproduction in plants and animals. If you take the asexual reproduction in plants, natural propagation, also called as vegetative propagation, natural propagation also called vegetative propagation. And next, artificial propagation, What are the different types of natural propagation? Natural propagation, in the name itself it is there, natural propagation or vegetative propagation. Propagation, what is called vegetative propagation means? Propagation means growing of plants with the vegetative parts of the plant. So here we'll have a confusion. What are the vegetative parts? What are the sexual parts? Vegetative parts of the plant are first we'll discuss this one about the plants. Vegetative parts of the plant. What are vegetative parts of plant? Buds, leaves, stem, root. These are the vegetative parts of the plant. Then what are the artificial propagation? Artificial propagation is nothing but growing of plants in artificial method. Growing of plant in the artificial method by the man itself, with the help of man, by the man. We can say tissue culture method, genetic engineering method, hybridization, and as well as grafting method. So these are the methods called as natural propagation or vegetative propagation and artificial propagation. Take an example of birds. And leaf. If you come to the two, take an example of a leaf called as bryophyllum. The common name of bryophyllum is Ranapala. The common name is Ranapala. And these bryophyllum, the leaf consists of small bud-like structure on their edges of the leaf. Like this, the birds will arise. These birds will arise like this. The birds will arise on edges of the leaf. And these birds forms into a new plant. These birds are used for propagation, for growing. So these birds are taken outside and they propagate, they forms into a new plant. It is called as, the birds called as epiphyllous birds. The buds of bryophyllum which helpful for the propagation, they are called as epiphyllous buds. They are called as epiphyllous buds. Next, if you come to the stem propagation, once again they have been differentiated. You complete. So I will erase this one. Stem propagation, stolons, suckers, write down that, stolons, suckers, bulbs, cones, tubers. Stolons, suckers, bulbs, stolons, suckers, bulbs, tubers, cones. So these are the parts which are used as stem propagation. Stolons, example, jasmine is used. In the jasmine, stolons are used. And suckers, when you go through the sucker, suckers, so here rhizomes also write down, rhizomes, and stolons, jasmine, suckers it use as crotalaria, bulbs, onions, tuber, sweet potato, cones, colocasia. Examples, rhizome, ginger. So these are the examples. And roots, roots of dahlia, radish, carrot. So these are the propagation up to here. Rhizomes, stem propagation, root propagation. Stolons, jasmine, suckers, crotalaria, bulbs, onions, tubers, sweet potato, cones, colocasia, rhizomes, ginger, roots, dahlia, radish, carrot. Okay. And next, if you go for the artificial propagation, so in the artificial propagation, first one, if you come across the method called as cutting, okay, then we'll go for cutting. Example, jasmine, hibiscus, jasmine. So all flowering plants, most of the flowering plants, we can use the cutting method. What is the method of cutting means? A part of the stem cuts and it is used for propagation. A part of stem, and which is, the stem should be, that stem should be very thin and tender, we can say as tender stem, we can say. In other word, we can say tender stem means which is very thin, soft. That stem has to be cut down from the parent plant and it is used to propagate. That stem part will grow into a new plant. Examples, ornamental plants, you can write ornamental plants. Ornamental plants. Next, layering. Here layering is nothing but the plant which is rooted one of the stem, that is nothing but a tender stem we had to select, and we had to bend to the ground. We had to bend to the ground, and before bending the ground, the part of the stem which we are bending to the ground, that should be, the bark should be, the bark means, the stem means the green colored part which is present, that is called bark. That bark should be removed. The tender stem you select and bend to the soil and bury in the soil like this, and cover with the soil, or keep any weight on this one, a stone, and supply water. Now this, what we call the stem which is buried, will start growing small hair-like structures, roots they will grow, and we'll cut the part and we'll take outside and use it for growing the plant. It is called as layering method. Example for layering method, Nerium is the example for layering method. Next, grafting method. Grafting means here we have to select two plants. One plant is a rooted plant. One plant is a rooted plant. Another plant, the part of the plant which we select. So we have to take the part of a plant. It may be a stem, it may be a bud, a stem, or it may be a bud, and we'll insert into a rooted plant. Take an example like this. This is a plant which consists of roots. It is a rooted plant. It is called stalk. It is called stalk, and we'll make into a V shape like this. And we'll take another plant and we will insert in this plant like this. Same species only. Same species. Same species only will select, and we'll tie a knot. And we'll tie a knot here. Then after some days, these grow into a single plant. The plant which is rooted one, it is called as stalk, and the plant which we fix to the stalk, it is called as scion. And types of grafting: stem grafting, bud grafting, tongue grafting, cleft grafting. Types of grafting method: stem grafting, bud grafting, tongue grafting, and cleft grafting. These are the types of grafting methods. Okay, first, cutting method. A part of the stem, that is tender stem, we have to select, and we'll cut that stem, and that stem is used for growing the plant. That stem will grow into a new plant. Example, ornamental plants, jasmine, rose, etc. And layering. The tender stem we have to select from the plant, but we should not remove the stem. From the plant only we will bend that stem into the ground and allow them to grow. Now the part which is present below the ground will develop the root-like structures, and we'll cut that part and we use for propagation. That is called as a layering method. Example, Nerium. And grafting method, two plants will select here. One is a rooted plant, another plant will select the stem, maybe bud, maybe tongue or cleft. Then we'll fix to the stalk. It goes into a new plant. Here, what is the main reason for growing of this type of method? Grafting method means in order to get the desirable characters in a single plant. So we want desirable characters. We get the desirable characters in a single plant. For example, this plant called as stalk have one desirable character. For example, high yielding is there. Flowering plant you take, or ornamental plant, or food yielding plant. This plant is giving more fruits, but they cannot tolerate climatic conditions. So we'll select the plant which tolerate to climatic conditions and we'll fix to the other plant, same species, same mango. Now it grows into a new plant which consists of both the characters of high yielding and can grow in adverse climatic conditions or disease resistant variety, whatever we will select. These are the artificial propagation. Next artificial propagation. In the artificial propagation, what we call as tissue culture method. Tissue culture method. It is a method to improve more production within a short period. Method to improve more production within a short period, as well as to increase the plant population, as well as to decrease the soil usage of soil also. Here in the tissue culture method, cells from the different parts of the plant body, cells are collected. These cells are introduced into not introduced, we can say as induced into a test tube. Now cells are induced into a test tube which are microscopic in nature. Under suitable conditions, providing all the facilities to divide the cells. Under extremely highly controlled conditions in the laboratory, these cells are cultured and these cells will multiply and forms into a new plant. They will take these plants and starts cultivation. This is called as tissue culture method. So growing of plants in a test tube, it is also called as in vitro fertilization. In vitro fertilization. Growing of plants in a test tube. Growing of plants in a test tube. In a test tube. So we are not growing total plant there. Until these they develops into a small plant, we will make them to grow in a test tube. Afterwards we will transfer to the agricultural land area. So it is called as in vitro fertilization. In our India it was started by the scientist called Panchanam Maheshwari. Panchanam Maheshwari is the scientist who started this rearing of plants. A culture called as tissue culture method. Next, genetic engineering method. Genetic engineering. In the genetic engineering method, same as it is in tissue culture method, cells are collected as well as the genes are collected. Both are collected. Cells collected, cells and as well as genes from the plant collected, growing in a test tube. It is called as genetic engineering method. Next, hybridization method. Hybridization method, best method. And who developed this hybridization method? Who is called as father of green revolution? I don't know. Our scientist, Indian scientist, who belongs to what we call hybridization method, green revolution. Ma? First hybridization done in India, or a scientist, I have forgotten his name normally. So our Indian, that fellow only, he improved the varieties of rice. Varieties of rice he improved. So he is also now in our India is also called as father of revolution, green revolution. So in the hybridization method, two plants are taken. Two plants with different characters. Two plants with different characters. One plant with another character, another plant with another character. These two plants are cross-pollinated. And the resulting plant will be there, no? That resulting plant will be self-pollinated and the resulting plant is called as hybrid. So two plants are taken. they will cross pollinate these two plants, and the resulting plant will be self pollinated. It is called as a hybrid. This is called as hybridization, hybrid techniques. And this hybridization method is useful to increase more production within a short period. Okay, so it is about artificial propagation in plants. Then spore formation. If you take an example of fungi, fungi produces spores, and these spores are produced in a fungi produces spores, and these spores are produced. The production of spores is called as sporulation. The production of spores is called as sporulation. And these spores, as these are very tiny, and if they falls on the ground, automatically they forms into a new organism. This is called as sporulation. Formation of spores is called as sporulation, and the spores are formed in a structure called as sporophytes. Sporophyte or sporangium. In the sporangium, the sporophytes like fungi, the sporangium produces spores, and the production of spores is called as sporulation. Okay, next topic, Nana. Oh, no, another one is that. So parthenogenesis, no, that one comes under that. So next, reproduction in animals, asexual reproduction in animals. Asexual reproduction in animals. In the asexual reproduction animals, so budding, fission, regeneration, fragmentation, parthenogenesis, and sporulation also comes, no? Sporulation also. First, listen, budding method. Examples: yeast and ANDHRA. A small bud arises from the parental body. For example, of yeast, you take yeast. A small bud arises like this. This is a small bud. This is a parental body. This is a bud. And this bud have a small constriction and cut off from the parent, and they will grow into a new organism. It is called budding method. In ANDHRA also same. A small bud arises like this from the parental body. In ANDHRA, tentacles are grown, and afterwards a small constriction takes place, and this forms into a new organism. It is called as budding method. It is called as budding method. Next, fission is of two types: binary fission, multiple fission. Binary fission, multiple fission. What is called binary means? Binary means two. If one organism splits into two, if one organism splits into two organisms, called as binary fission. Bi means two. Bi, B-I, bi means two. Multiple, in the name itself, have multiple, many. One organism splits into many. Example: amoeba, paramecium, etc. And regeneration, in the name itself, you have regeneration. Once again they will regenerate. Once again they will produce the last part, and from the last part they will develop into a new organism. Take an example of planaria. If any body parts cut or injured, and this cut or injured part develops into a new organism, it is called as regeneration. And fragmentation also equal to regeneration only. The small fragments are formed on the body, and each fragment develop into a new individual. Example for fragmentation. So fungi is the examples of next, parthenogenesis. In the animals, if you take formation of organism without the development of embryo, without the development of zygote, without the formation of zygote, if the embryo is formed, without the formation of a zygote, if the embryo is formed, automatically it is called as parthenogenesis. In animals it occurs in wasp, also in insects also. But in the plants it is called as seedless fruits. Seedless fruits. Growing of seedless fruits called as parthenocarpy. Parthenocarpy. Parthenocarpy means growing of seedless fruits called as parthenocarpy. This is the asexual reproduction in animals. Okay. So budding, eastern hydra, fission, amoeba and paramecium, regeneration, tapeworm, flatworm, roundworms, planarians, and fragmentation, fungi, parthenogenesis, wasp insects, and as well as seedless fruits in plants also. Okay, next we'll go for sexual reproduction in human beings. Sexual reproduction in human beings. It's a very important topic in this. So first we'll write a small flow chart. Flow chart. How the organism is formed. So male, female, both has to participate in reproduction. Male have the 6 organs called as testis, a pair of testis. A pair of testis. A pair of vasa afferents. A pair of epididymis. Epididymis. Vasa deferens, ejaculatory duct, Cowper glands, prostate glands, urethra, and penis. Last one, penis. So these are the parts of male reproductive system. In the female reproductive system, a pair of ovaries, a pair of seminal duct or fallopian tubes, uterus, vagina. These are okay. Now these are the parts of male and female reproductive system. Then first we'll go for the male reproductive system. In the male reproductive system, first part, a pair of testes. A pair of testes, it will be around 3 to 4 centimeters in length and 2 centimeters in width. And where it is located? Located below the abdomen region, below the abdomen region, and located in sac called as scrotum. Sac called as scrotum, a pair of testes. So males consist of externally, these testes are present externally but below the abdomen region, and these are protected in a sac-like structure called as scrotum, and these testes releases sperms. These are called male gametes. Sperms are called male gametes. When the sperms are produced in a testis, and these sperms are stored in the epididymis. Sperms are stored in the epididymis. And these vasa afferentia, coiled tube-like structure and forms into epididymis. And these epididymis, from the epididymis, the sperms comes outside through a tube-like structure called as vasa deferens, a tube-like structure. From the vasa deferens, it comes into the ejaculatory duct. From ejaculatory duct, it enters into urethra to penis. And what are these ducts? Means Cowper glands and prostate glands. They provide energy, they provide food and energy to the sperms. So how the sperms comes outside? From the testis produces sperms, and testis consists of coil-like structures called as vasa afferents, and these vasa afferents forms as epididymis, and these epididymis only store the sperms. And whenever the sperms comes outside, it comes outside through vasa deferens. From vasa deferens, it comes outside through urethra to penis, it expels outside. And in the female, a pair of ovaries releases ovum. But here in the pair of ovaries, one ovum is released by either of them. So either right side ovary or left side ovary, which are present below the abdomen region, internally located. Below the abdomen region, internally they are located, but here testis is located externally but protected by a scrotum. But these are located inside, internally they are located, and produces one ova or one ovum only at the time. And this ovum enters into the, so a pair of ovaries. Next, seminal ducts are also called as fallopian tubes. And these ovum enters into fallopian tubes. Now this ovum will be in the fallopian tubes and waits for the sperm to enter. Up to 5 days to 6 days, they will wait to sperm to enter. After that, if the fertilization does not take place, this ovum comes outside through uterus through vagina, it comes out. It's called as ejaculatory duct. Through the ejaculatory duct, from uterus to vagina, it is expelled outside. And how the fertilization takes place? So first, a pair of testis releases sperms, and these sperms are produced in a vasa afferentia tube-like, coiled tube-like structure called as vasa afferentia. Vasa afferentia together form epididymis. Here the sperms are stored, and the sperms comes outside through a tube called as a tube from either side of the testis called vasa deferens. From the vasa deferens, it enters into urethra, and through penis it comes outside, expels outside. And when this expels outside, here after that, Ovaries produces one ovum, each ovum on either side. Only one ovum is released, either from the right or either from the left. And it enters into the fallopian tube and it waits for 5 to 6 days or 7-10 days also. And sometimes 10 days also it waits until the fertilization takes place. If the sperm does not enter these from the fallopian tubes, this ovum comes outside through vagina. Okay, now fertilization, how the fertilization takes place. So male, female. Male consists of testis, female consists of a pair of ovaries. Testis releases sperms, ovaries releases ovum. Whenever these two come in contact, it is called as fertilization. It is called fertilized egg. And this fertilized egg develops into zygote. Zygote develops into embryo. The third month of the embryo is called as a fetus. Third month of embryo called fetus. Fetus develops into adult. Adult means child, not adult. We can write as child. Maybe there may be a girl child or maybe a boy child. And how the sex is determined? Sex determination, sperms, it consists of 22 plus XY chromosomes. Ovum consists of 22 plus XX chromosomes. And these 22 are called as 23 pairs of chromosomes will be in male and female. Okay? 22, in that 22 are called, what they are called as? Autosomes. They are called as autosomes. And one pair is called as allosome. And these male allosomes only responsible for the sex determination, whether it may be a male or female. When 22 plus X mixes with the 22 plus X, it is a female baby, child, baby, girl baby. When 22 plus Y mixes with the 22 plus X, it is a male boy. It is a sex determination. Okay? Then next we will go for another topic. Male, female completed. Then how the childbirth. The third month of the pregnancy. So means the third month of the embryo called fetus. When the fetus is developed, these fetus attached to the walls of uterus. Attached to walls of uterus on either maybe on left side or maybe on right side, attached to the walls of uterus. And these fetus will be protected by a layers called as amnion, chorion and allanteus. So amnion releases the fluid called as amniotic fluid. And this amniotic fluid provides nutrients as well as the prevents from shocks and injuries. And the chorion is a layer which protects the inner baby. Okay? And now these fetus develop into adult. When they develops into the gestation period will be gestation period of human beings. It will be 9 months. In the days if you can write as 280 days. After this 9 months, the baby's head turns into like this. The baby head will be, and it comes outside through vagina. when the baby comes outside through vagina, the mother has some pains, they are called as labor pains. What are labor pains? Means the pains that starts before the delivery of a mother is called as a labor pain. Mainly labor pain indicates the easy delivery for a mother, and these layers which are present in that, they will break and comes outside in the form of fluid called as amniotic fluids, and the blood comes outside, and the baby which is attached to the walls of the uterus through a cord called as umbilical cord. Umbilical cord, the baby's umbilical cord is attached to the walls of uterus. When they comes outside, the doctors will cut that umbilical cord and tie a knot. So this is the childbirth, how the baby, amnion, chorion and alliantias, very important. Next, sexual reproduction in plants. So sexual reproduction in plants, better we will discuss about a flower is the sexual part, only sexual part in a plant, a flower. So flowers are of two types, unisexual flowers, bisexual flowers. Unisexual, bisexual. If the only one male organ or female organ is present in one flower, it is called as unisexual. If both the organs are present in the same flower, it is called as bisexual flower. And we will discuss today about a bisexual flower, datura. The flower consists of 4 orals. This is called orals. They are called calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. If these 4 are present in a flower, it is also called as complete flower. Complete flower. If these 4 are present in the same flower, it is also called as complete flower. If any of these are absent, it is called as incomplete flower. And the sepals comes under the calyx, petals comes under the corolla, and the male parts comes under the androecium, and the female parts comes under the gynoecium. And if you come to the, is it writing? It's better. Then we'll discuss about the structure of a flower. I will discuss how the pollination takes place. If you are able to fill means fill this one. Okay. Okay. Now these are sepals, comes under calyx, and these are petals, comes under corolla, and this is ovary, this is stigma, This is style, and total these three parts, style, stigma, ovary, it is called as a pistil. The total, it is called a pistil, and these are called the stamens. Stamens, pollen grains, anther. Okay. If the pollen grains transfer from anther to stigma of a flower, it is called as pollination. Pollination is of two types: self-pollination, cross-pollination. If the pollination takes place in the same plant, or same flower, it is called as self-pollination. If the pollination takes place in those two plants belonging to same species, it is called as cross-pollination. And how the pollination takes place means, whenever the pollen grains enter into, from anther to stigma of a flower, these pollen grains enter into a tube, and it is called as pistil, and enter into the ovary. And the ovary consists of 8 nucleated ovary, 3 synergids, 3 antipodals, 1 polar nuclei with 2 nucleus. Totally it is 8 nucleated. And whenever this pollen grains enters into the inside the ovary, pollination takes place. So this is called as fertilization, internal fertilization. It is also internal fertilization. And their structure of ovary, if you draw the picture of ovary, two, three. 1, 2, 3. These are called antipodals. These are called synergids, and these two is called as polar nuclei. So whenever the pollen grain enters into this, it enters through the funicle. It is called as funicle. Through funicle, the pollen grain enters into the nuclei, and whenever the enters into nuclei, fertilization takes place and seeds are formed. And fruits are also formed. Okay, this is about fertilization in plants. Next, Nana. Germination in seed. So whenever the fertilization takes place, these here, whenever the nuclei of the pollen grain enter into the nucleus of the ovule, seeds are formed, and the seed consists of 3 parts called radicle. The seeds consist of 3 parts called as radicle, cotyledon, and next part, there it is, 3 parts inside. Plumule is called as plumule. The seeds consist of radicle, cotyledon, plumule. If the 2 cotyledons are present, if the cotyledons are 2, it is called as dicots. If only 1 cotyledon is present, it is called as monocot. The outgrowth which comes from the seed, it is called as radicle. The outgrowth which comes outside through seed is called radicle, and the outgrowth which comes to the soil is called as a plumule. Radicle grows into shoot, plumule grows into root. Cotyledons are of 2 types, dicots, monocots. Monocot means which consists of a single cotyledon. Dicot means which consists of 2 cotyledons. Examples of dicots: groundnut, If you break the seed, 2 seeds are inside. It is called dicot. If only 1 seed is embedded inside, it is called as a monocot. Okay, Nana? Next. Okay. So cell division. So cell division takes place. The division of cells is called as cytokinesis. Cytokinesis. Cell division, it is called as cytokinesis. And division of nucleus called karyokinesis. Karyokinesis. Division of cells called cytokinesis. Division of nucleus is called as karyokinesis. And what are the stages that takes place in the cell division? Mitosis, meiosis. Mitosis and meiosis. What are the stages of mitosis and what are the stages of meiosis? Once you give your textbook. So once you go through your textbook here, in the mitotic cell division, the process of cell division, it is called as mitosis and it takes place around 40 to 60 minutes. It takes place around 40 to 60 minutes, and between the period of mitosis and meiosis, the time period between two cell divisions called interphase, called as interphase. The time period between the two cells divisions is called interphase. And interphase consists of 3 divisions. 3 phases have, called as G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase. So interphase have 3 phases: G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase. And M phase is a mitotic cell division. M phase is mitotic cell division. And what are the changes that takes place in G1 phase, S2 phase and G phase? And S phase, DNA synthesis takes place. DNA synthesis. DNA synthesis takes place in S phase. And in G1 phase, okay. So G1 phase, it is link between completion of mitosis and meiosis. Completion of mitosis and beginning of DNA. Beginning of DNA replication. And S phase, DNA synthesis takes place. DNA synthesis takes place in S phase. And G2 phase, DNA replication takes place. DNA replication takes place. And M phase is called as mitosis cell division. It consists of 4 stages called as prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. What, madam? And if you go through the textbook, They given about the stages of cell division: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Prophase, here chromosomes contract, spiral in shape, and they may come in contact. So once you go through the textbook, you will have. Okay. The next topic: how to control the childbirth. So, control childbirth and sexual diseases will control. Once we control the childbirth, nowadays as the population increasing enormously, the main reason for the quest for food, for shelter, and for the space is nothing but overpopulation. We have to control the childbirth. And what are those methods to control the childbirth? Using of what we call techniques. By using of the method called as copper T method, and surgical methods. Surgical methods like tubectomy and vasectomy, and using some physical methods like condoms, pills, etc. we can control the childbirth. So copper T method is mainly useful to control the childbirth in female. It is a device called as copper T. It is inserted in the vagina of the female. It is inserted in the vagina of the female into the tubes called as fallopian tubes. In the fallopian tubes, this copper T is induced. Though they produce ovum, it will not be fertilized with the help of a sperm, as the copper T prevents the fertilization. Next, tubectomy and vasectomy. Tubectomy in females, they will cut the ends of the fallopian tubes and tie the knot. It is called as tubectomy. And vasectomy in males, they will cut the ends of seminal ducts. Sorry, it's not seminal ducts. We call as vasa deferens. They will cut the vasa deferens at the ends of vasa deferens and tie the knot in the males. So though they produce sperms, these sperms does not enter into the fallopian tubes of a mother. And using of condoms in males and females, pills like what we call spermicides and ovicides. Spermicides means the chemicals which kills the sperms. Ovicides means which kills the ovum, kills the sperms. And nowadays we have some what we call gels also are there. Gels, they will use these gels in order to kill the sperms which they enter inside. Gels. And next, what are the sexual diseases? HIV, mainly HIV, and syphilis, and gonorrhea. These are the main. HIV is a virus which causes a disease called as AIDS, acquired deficiency syndrome is the full form. It causes by the virus called HIV, human immunovirus. Through the sexual contact, this disease spread. These are also called as STD, sexually transmitted diseases. Sexually transmitted diseases. And we can control this one by taking care of sexual contact. And this HIV, previously it is a very dangerous viral disease which occurs from mother to child or through direct to sexual contact. And the person who is suffering with the viruses, if may contact with other person, woman, she also will suffer with the disease. She become pregnant, she will give birth to the HIV patient also. So first HIV patient was first observed in Tamil Nadu in India. Next one, anything is there? Oh, we kept here. Teenage motherhood and stop female feticide. The government has announced the age of 21 years for the female. Now 21 years for the female, 23 for the male now. Previously 18 for the female, 21 for the male. Now they increased. Because 18 age is not a perfect age as they isn't completed their education also. So 21 and 23 now. And this age, why they declared as the age for the marriage means at this age only the woman will be well developed to give birth to the younger ones, as well as physically and psychologically they are fit. And child marriages are the evil. Previously in the olden days, they used to marry a small girl with a big or elder boy. So that age is not suitable, and her uterus also not suitable to give birth to the younger ones. So physically she is not well developed, as well as psychologically she is not well developed. She is not coped with the society, and as well as she is not well educated also. So they stopped the child marriages. And they given the age group for the marriage 21 for the girls and 23 for the boys now. Previously in the textbook they given 18 for the girls and 21 for the boys. Now they increased. Okay. And now social marriage is a evil. We have to stop that one. And next, teenage motherhood. Why they stopped this one means they are physically unfit to give birth to younger ones, as this uterus is not ready to produce the young ones. If they produce also, the mother will suffer with the infections, as well as the child also will born with the less weight and some infections. So until the girl comes to the age group of 21, if she marries, then only she will be coped with the society, as well as her motherhood also plays an important role. Okay, we'll stop.